What's the most unexpected, out-of-the-blue thing your partner has ever done during sex? This actually happened to me. I had the most intense orgasm of my life and then started uncontrollably crying. It was so hard to fight back. I wasn't sad or upset. It was just that intense. We have been in ALDR for 2 years and we only get to see each other every 2 months or so. So going 2 months without sex and then having a crazy orgasm must have freaked out my brain. It freaked my boyfriend out a little bit, but after 10 minutes everything was good. I was riding on top of my partner and before he was gonna come he wanted to pull out, so when he finally came I rolled off and he accidentally busted his nut on his forehead. I immediately busted out into laughter and he shouted and I lost it. One time my ex-girlfriend was riding me, and she started talking in Korean. When I looked up I realized she was discussing getting tickets for her home for Christmas. They didn't call her, she called them, in the middle of riding me. I'm surprised they couldn't tell what she was doing. She seemed to be enjoying it too much. The first time I ended up in bed with an old buddy. He asked me to don a pair of boxing gloves and punch him across the face and chest. This in itself wasn't really unexpected, as we'd already talked about how that kind of thing turned him on. The unexpected part was how much I got off on it. I discovered a new kink that night. We were having a very heavy make-out session before bed. Not unusual and usually led into much more playful, naughty, sexy things. Provided we didn't draw out the making out. We'd been going at it for a few minutes and things were starting to get just a little bit more heated. Hands shifting around, etc. Then he just stops. Nothing. Figure maybe he had to catch his breath or I'd shifted and cut off his circulation or something. I wait a minute. Try and kiss him again. No response. I say his name and poke him. No response. Then I realize his breathing pattern has shifted. He's fallen asleep in the middle of making out. At that point I say screw it and go to sleep as well. The next morning, he didn't remember a thing. My boyfriend was eating me out when out of nowhere he blew a shit ton of air into my vagina and it scared me. I jumped and pushed all the air out, misting the poor guy's face. I laughed so hard at him, though I'm not proud to say that I know what a balloon feels like now. Was having sex with a French guy. On his heaviest, thickest French accent, he said, "I will now put my penis in your vagina." I laughed and it both got us off the mood. He kept pushing my head further down his dick until I gagged. He really liked being deep-throated, I guess. As a blowjob newbie, I did not appreciate this at all. Newbie or not, that is bad blowjob etiquette on his part. Like, I'll deep throat, but I need to loosen up the muscles in my jaw properly. Hello. Had a girlfriend once who pulled away from my dick after giving me head, looked directly into my eyes, swallowed, and said, "Go team." Old FWB liked to dirty talk, so do I. But in one of our sessions, he kept referring to his penis as his pepperoni. "You want a taste of this pepperoni?" "No, no, I don't." Dried me up like the Sahara Desert. This was me, not him. But my boyfriend used to tell me that I wasn't loud enough. He couldn't tell when I came, so he didn't know when to stop. So, the next time I came I yelled, "Announcement. I have orgasmed. Please step aside and allow the doors to close." Accidental ass penetration when he got overexcited and pulled out too far while doggy styling. My scream, clench and bolt forward was just as unexpected for him too. Are you one of my exes? Either way, I'm so sorry. This is something I did. I was near blackout drunk. She was on top. I started to feel drowsy and closed my eyes for a second. Then I think she thought I was getting really into it and that I was about to come, so she started riding harder. This is the point where the motion sickness kicked in. I threw up all over her and myself. Did not come either. She just broke down crying, and it wasn't just a few tears, but a full-blown crying. I held her tight, telling her if everything was alright, but she still cried for the next 10 minutes. This was during fairly vanilla sex and we've done a lot rougher BDSM stuff before, so it was confusing. I asked her if she forgot her safe word. "No." "Did I hurt you?" "No." "What made you cry?" "I don't know. It's a mystery to this day and she can't figure it out either." My girlfriend is a talker. However, at one point, mid-gasping orgasm, I always assumed I'd have a wide variety of sexual partners, but if this is what you do, then I don't see it as a high priority. It was like having sex with an auctioneer. She didn't tell me she was recovering from surgery for endometriosis. We turned on the lights after we had finished and there was blood everywhere. Ends up I had blown a hole through her, resulting in a trip to the ER. I can think of several better ways to meet her entire family for the first time. They just kept staring at me. They knew what I had done. I just imagine you meeting her parents. Shakes hands. Hello, I'm the guy that an extra hole into your daughter. I had a guy pour a bottle of water over me during sex because it's getting too hot. I wasn't impressed because it was my bed that got soaked, but the sex was hot, so I continued and later slept in the puddle. He spanked me. He missed the fatty part of the cheek, so it was more like a punch in the hip bone. He's practiced. Now it's fun. Had a girl pull off real quick and start slapping my dick. I must have been giving her some kind of a look, because she asked if I liked it. I said no and she seemed a little offended. She got back on, but the moment had passed for me. Was once having sex with my Sir Doggy style, and in front of us was a mirror. I waved at her through the mirror and she laughed so hard that she pissed all over my dick and the bed. So this wasn't me obviously, but I heard it going down. My roommate and his girlfriend were the type who would always make noise while they were going at it, and I was obviously never the type to complain. I'd just put on my headphones, turn on Spotify and play some games for a while, because awkward conversation would probably kill me both literally and figuratively. One time, however, I took my headphones off to go and get something to eat. They're still going at it. Then he makes a single, really loud, moo, like a cow. Everything stops. I can hear her ask, "What the f?" like any sensible person would, and he immediately stops laughing. Long story short, she left and they didn't speak for about a week. At that point you must start making farmyard animal noises at random points of his day. Started making jokes about old Greg. While having sex she looks up at me and says in the voice of old Greg, "Do you love me, Howard?" I died of laughter. She came really hard, as I did too. Her vagina clenched really hard that felt like heaven, which then pushed my penis out and she sharted. Dude, you literally f***ed the shit out of her. Midway through, without a condom, she said, "Wow, this feels amazing." And I shouted because it's bloody raw. Like Gordon Ramsay. Needless to say, we were both laughing too hard to continue. Throwaway because she knows my username. But weirdest thing has got to be her waking up on penetration, which she initiated. I knew she sleepwalks and talks. Apparently she too. She woke up confused. On top of me. Worked out what was going on. Shrugged and just continued. This has happened more than once, although I've gotten better at noticing when she's asleep in the dark, and waking her up first. It's not a regular thing. Maybe 4 times in a 7-year relationship. Definitely weird. Although not as funny as when I woke up in the middle of the night to see her waiting for the lift in front of the sliding wardrobe. She needs to see a doctor. My buddy sleepwalks. A month ago he got up, drove his car into a ravine 6 blocks away from his place. Yes, he survived. Me and my friend with benefits were having sex when her brother walks in, grabs her Xbox controller and Minecraft, then left without even looking at us in the bed. Ex-girlfriend. She was riding me, and when I was about to come she knew it. She started choking me, riding me faster, and then slapped me in the face. After it was done, she asked me if I liked it. I did not. I was trying to be all sexy and hold her from behind. Apparently, I held too hard around her neck and choked her a bit. She asked me if I was doing it on purpose. I started apologizing, saying I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to. Are you okay? She said it really turned her on. And that's the story of how I discovered my ex's choking fetish by complete accident. I jokingly said something along the lines of, "This is Captain Johnson for the US Thunder Cock. Permission to dock," to my ex. She responded with permission granted, without missing a beat. I wish it worked out. It's not what the girl I was with did. but I had ended up at the girl's house both very drunk and started hooking up. For some reason that soon became very clear, there was a mattress on the floor of her bedroom, so we ended up on it. About 10 minutes later, drunk me is balls deep doing doggy and just looking around the room when I realized there were two very quiet, yet very awake and attentive people in the bed, watching us. Somehow I wasn't able to finish. Made my excuses and left. This must be what raccoons feel like when they realize I'm watching them rummage through my garbage can. I threw a party at my place first semester of college. Girl and I got drunk and all night. She had to get up the next morning to do sorority stuff. 6 a.m. sits on my face and yells, "Eat my pussy." We've been dating for a year and a half. I once dated a guy who giggled when he finished. That was definitely unexpected the first time we had sex. When I got together with my now ex-girlfriend, we went back to hers quite drunk. In an attempt to show off my strength and sexual prowess, I hoisted her up onto my face so I could eat her out and managed to smash her mouth off the headboard. Still finished though. Thank you, drink. I swear I'm not making this up. Met a girl off Craigslist. She was nervous about the whole thing and went as far as to give me a fake name. When I showed up to her place, I was worried I might be getting conned and would get robbed. But she was real. After about 2 minutes of talking, we were making out, and shortly after we started in the middle of me her, she said between moans, "I can't believe I'm a stranger." Hottest thing a girl has said to me, and it completely caught me off guard. Girlfriend and I experimenting in bed. While blowing me, I came in her mouth and without any warning spit it all the way up into my currently ongoing O face. Never again. My husband spread my ass cheeks and got face real close to my butthole and just screamed. Like screamed as loud as he could. It was so violating for a second, and then I died laughing. She slapped my ass and said, "Whose pussy is this?" It was our first time and I wasn't sure if it was hers or mine, so I ignored her. She did it again, but this time she pinched my nipples and screamed, "Answer me." Having a 50-50 chance, I said it was my pussy. Afterwards she says, "That's right. It's your pussy. Don't forget it." 7 years later, it's still my pussy. Lol. I wasn't even there and I felt intimidated. My first time with her, I had known her for all of 2 days. She tried to finger my butthole, bit my dick rather hard, and said to me as we were having sex, "Pretend like you love me," and I just want to pretend like someone cares about me. Absolutely none of those things were turn-ons. One of my first girlfriends screamed harder "Daddy" in the middle of sex once. We were both women. He was on top of me and we were experimenting with blindfolding. He ties a pillowcase over his eyes and is looking around. I can only see shapes, he says, and suddenly he rips the loudest fart I've ever heard. While he was sitting on my stomach. This was in the beginning of our relationship, so we hadn't really gotten into the farting around each other phase. I laughed so hard that we couldn't continue. The mood was gone. The mood was gone, but a tradition was born. Ex-girlfriend that was a rather talented violinist, riding me gently and reaches over, grabs her violin and starts to play as she comes. Impressive, and strangely erotic.